Good evening, you guys. Sorry I wasn't able to be in class today for periods 5 and 6. My son had a situation at his school. He ended up needing to go to the urgent care. Fortunately, everything is okay, so I'm excited to be back with you guys tomorrow. What I wanted to do is I wanted to create this tutorial to cover the material that we covered during the first half of periods 2 and 4 today, so that we were able to watch this at home and we're able to cover content when I come to class tomorrow. And so what I'd like to highlight for you with your short answer essay questions is a couple different things. First of all, I'd like you to notice that you have a folder that's titled Essay Writing and Historical Thinking Skills. And inside of there, you'll find a writing guide that was created by a man named John Irish. And he's somebody who is important in our AP community because of the fact that he is very much involved in the AP test creation process. He is also somebody who has created a number of style guides to help out with the writing process. And if you click up here on the top right, this document is something that he uses with his students to help them to improve their writing on a yearly basis. When we take a look at this document, this is going to be our tool that we use to help give you really simple techniques to help you with your writing process, to help make things more clear as far as what your expectations are. So you'll find, first of all, it lists for you the parameters for your AP test, what's going to be required for you guys when you take the test in the spring. You'll also find that there's descriptions of each essay portion of the test, and so if you want to read through those, you can, but we're going to be breaking through those piece by piece for you to make sure that you understand what you're supposed to be doing. As you move through the rest of the document, you'll notice that there are style suggestions for each type of essay, whether it's a cause and effect, continuity change over time, compare and contrast, and then there are also descriptions as far as how do you build strong arguments, thesis statements, contextualizations, how to use documents and outside information in a DBQ. So all of these things will be broken apart for you piece by piece as we work our way through the essay writing process in this course. What I'd like to highlight for you, though, is you just completed a short answer essay question. And what you did is a formative assessment where you're doing an activity for the first time and you're just learning about what the process is. And what we need to do is, now that you've got an idea of what you're being expected to do, you need some feedback immediately to find out if you were on the right track. And then also that will help you when you do your next one of these to be able to then up your game at that point and improve your writing style. So what I'd like you to consider with the writing that you did for today is this. Number one, check to see, did you label your answers? And you're encouraged to label your answers A, B, and C as you're writing your essay out and doing them in the order that they are provided. For you, though, what you should understand is, let's say you are answering letter A. If you don't fully answer letter A in the section that you describe, but you start doing it in letter B as well, the graders are able to recognize that, but by labeling, you're showing a reader that you're trying to attempt a skill at a certain point of your writing, and that makes the grading a whole lot easier. The second thing I'd like you to consider when you're thinking about your writing that you did for today, you should be writing about 3 to 4 solid sentences for each of the 3 letters. And so you're looking at a grand total of at least 9 to 12 solid sentences per short answer essay question set. And the reason why we do that is because oftentimes kids will write too little with their short answer essays and not give enough detail, and as a result, they end up not scoring well on their short answer portion of the test. When you think about a short answer essay question, the way that it's graded is very simple. It's either going to get a 0 for not meeting the standard, or it will receive a 1 once you have answered the question fully. And remember, that's ATFQ, the term that we're going to use throughout our course. The thing that I'd like you to consider also when you look over your essay that you wrote is, I would like you to consider, did you pull off the IDE that you see right here? And with the IDE, what that means is, inside each portion of your essay question for A, B, and C, did you actually identify with a proper noun the evidence that you're going to use to prove your point? You'll find that with the essay question, it's asking you for specific evidence, not general evidence. And so you might find with your writing that you did for today, you might not have used a proper noun, and as a result, you might not be specific enough to actually trigger the point that you're wanting to earn. The first thing is to identify a proper noun, a fact that you can use in your essay. But then the second step is you also need to describe that proper noun and explain what it is to the reader so that you and they are both on the same page about where you're coming from with that fact. So it's not good enough to announce the encomienda system could be used to support one of the author's viewpoints and just stop there. You've identified your encomienda system, but you actually need to then describe what it is. And then finally, you also need to explain the connection that you are now creating between that noun and the analysis that you are choosing to support. So whether it's the first author or the second author, you need to weave things together analytically to prove that the fact that you've chosen actually does support their viewpoint in some sort of way. So when we take a look at what these things look like, here's a sample that I've got for you that you can look over to see what a 3 looks like. You'll notice that with this sample written by a student when they were test driving these questions, you'll see here, first of all, it says one historical difference between these two authors on the Columbian exchange was that Richards was analyzing the exchange from the viewpoint of Native Americans who were taken advantage of and killed by diseases such as influenza and smallpox. So you'll notice that there are proper nouns that are specific being used, not just announcing there were diseases. While Nunn and Quan are looking at the exchange as an advancement for the Old World in Europe that could use the New World lands for modernization and advancement in technology. Doing that is going to be satisfactory for letter A, but especially with B and C, they specifically demand a specific historical event or fact that you can use to back up your view. So you'll notice how they're doing that here. IDE, one historical event that could support Richard's interpretations, were the harsh systems and oppressions natives faced by Spanish domination, such as the caste system created by the Spanish strategy of the encomienda system. They have now identified their proper noun, they have described what it is, and now they're showing that this system was used by the Spanish to gather resources from the people who are being dominated, and it's very much then being tied to the idea that this is Richard's viewpoint that he is creating as well, and they describe that right here. So you have the I identify, you have a definition of the noun, and then you also have an explanation of how it connects back to the author's viewpoint. You'll notice for letter C, one historical event that could support Nunn and Quan's interpretation is the Virginia Company, a proper noun, which through capitalism and forced labor made profits in the New World based off of slave production, and these profits went back to Europe and propelled them forward in a race for industrialization. And so they've told us that this joint stock company was able to then demonstrate what Nunn and Quan are talking about, how you've got money being generated here that will create wealth back in the old world. So for you, what you should examine is, at this point, there's a solid chance that the writing that you did for today was just fine for my purposes for grading, and absolutely would be great for high school teachers no matter where you were. But what you need to evaluate now is seeing what the standards are that the College Board is looking for, and particularly going back to the style guide and noticing what is recommended by somebody who is in the process itself. Do you have an idea about what you should do with short answer questions in the future? Do you have a feel if you are on the right track? And if not, do you have an idea how to progress further to make this better? Final thing I would encourage you to think about, though, is this. This process is tricky, and so at the beginning of the year, what you should be focusing on is your content. You have a test on Monday on chapters 1 through 4. You should be working on retaining your information for that. If you're done with your reading, and you have been done for a while, and you're feeling pretty good about your content, next week we're going to be reading chapters 5 and 6. It wouldn't be a bad idea to start reading those as well, so that you don't have to do both of those in the same week while you're preparing to get ready for your next test. For you, though, if you're really worried about the essay writing process, we should talk, but we will be doing more of these short answers, and we will also very soon be doing a DBQ, or a document-based question. Both of them will be formative rather than summative, to give you a chance to figure out your style, practice, and get better. And that's our final thing that we want you to really be thinking about with this course. We're asking you to up your skills. That will sometimes mean taking a risk and trying things out and possibly not having immediate success, but you will become a much better writer if you embrace the techniques that we're talking about in this class. And so hopefully the first experience went well. And if you do have any questions, I will be back tomorrow so we can discuss them. But otherwise, have a good night, you guys.